everybody has a one Leo part of their chart, and Leo is where the sun is a natural ruler. So check your Leo whole sign house. That's where you're going to have a lot of natural power and potency. And also check your Aries whole sign house. That's where the sun is exalted. The Leo house and the Aries house hold a powerful amount of energy for you, for where you can shine your light and be successful.
Lunatic astrology.
Hello, everybody. This is our teaching video of the week, and we're talking about what it's like to have the sun in one of the 12 sign/houses of your natal chart. You'll notice I said sun/sign, and that's because we will be talking about this in the context of the whole sign house system. Now, what your sun represents is your interior essence, the true you. This is your spiritual light. This is the spark of your divine self, and it is eternal, and it takes on a form in matter. You know, that expression, spirit playing in matter, that's what I mean. And because your sun is that essence of who you really are underneath the character you play, which will be your ascendant at birth, your rising sign, your sun is also propelled in life through a mechanism called purpose. Your son didn't come onto the planet just to bite his fingernails and maybe watch Netflix TV and Haagen-Dazs and popcorn. Your soul came into incarnation because it had a reason for being here. You could get cosmological. It's a schoolhouse of life. We're refining our karma or something like that. But ultimately speaking, your soul is here for a reason. Your spiritual divine essence is here for a reason. It's playing a role. That's your ascendant, and it has a lot of thoughts and feelings about life, and that's your moon. But we're going to take it right down to that solar light. Where your sun sits is today's video. We'll also be talking about where your moon sits in another video. Now, because we're using the ancient traditional whole sign houses, please check below this video in the description box below, where you're going to find what you need to find, which is you're going to find what is called How to Cast Your Chart in Whole Sign Houses. And in that video, I explain why. And that's a free tutorial. All you'll need to know to do that is your time of birth, of course, and where you were born, and day, month, and year, of course. So it's all underneath my video for you to use here. In the meantime, where your sun sits in the chart by house, not by sign. I mean, your sun could be a fire sign. I'm the fire flavor of God. I have a sun in Aries. I'm about initiative, daring, boldness, and reckless change, right? Your sun in a certain sign is another video. What we're talking about today is the sun in a particular house. There are 12 pie slices of the sky called houses. They each delineate an area of reality. And you can pretty well hit the mark and go, oh my God, if my sun is in this house, it probably means these things about my soul, the agenda of my soul, and why in the hell I'm on this reality plane anyway. So we're going to go through this today and talk about the sun through the various houses. Now, I'm not even going to have to show you a chart to do this. It's going to just be me telling you your sun is in the first house, second house, third house, and we're going to delineate that. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. This is Western Tropical Zodiac Astrology, and we are using the whole sign house system. And please like and subscribe. And if you want to learn how to do astrology all by your very own self, read your own chart, be your best own astrologer, time your best life, come join me for Sky Reader. Every single September, we teach that course. It's 7 weeks long this year. And there's a massive discount going on till the end of July. If you watch this video any other time, it probably will be evergreen. Just know that I teach a lot of classes, intermediate, beginner, and more. And in my description box below, you'll see my website, and you can go check out what classes I'm teaching next. All right, so and my name is Lori Lothian. I hope I said Lori Lothian. Okay. The sun in your first house is an important placement. It means you can be a leader in life. You might shine your light very brightly. That, you know, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. That's your motto. But the light that you're shining is the soul light. And the soul light is shining through the character simulation, because everybody's first house, bar none, is simply your avatar. Just like Neo in the Matrix, the real him wasn't the guy in the office, right? He escaped the dream world. And so your real you is not your ascendant. Your ascendant is how you look, what your facial appearances are, and all of that. So and how you act in your personality complex. So your character is being lit by the soul. Isn't that the most cool thing? It's like the light of your true self is shining through the character. Now, there is a caveat for those of you a little bit more advanced. You will notice that your ascendant in whole sign houses can fall from 0 to 29 degrees of one sign, full house, first house, right? There are 30 degrees for every of the 12 houses. If your sun is above your ascendant, like moving towards the 12th whole sign house, and your ascendant is further down, like moving towards the second, this means your sun is prenatal. It means it exists in a place in the chart that represents characteristics connected to other lives will be brought through the simulation character. It also represents the idea that matters connected to your own father may be highlighted in your chart. You may have very strong karmic connections to the biological father in your life, very deep and profound and past life. When the sun is on the other side of the ascendant, so the ascendant is here on the eastern horizon in the first house in whole sign houses, it says you'll see, just cast your chart in whole sign houses. And you have your sun on the other side of the ascendant, between the ascendant. Let's say the ascendant is at 5 degrees of Libra, but your sun is at 28 degrees of Libra, right? Well, it's on the other side. It's down below the ascendant when you're looking at the chart. This is powerful because you are perceived in the world as solar. You are a leader. You are a light. You shine brightly. The world sees you that way. The sun behind the ascendant, between the ascendant and the 12th house, not so much so. Those people often seem like the hidden sun, the 12th house sun. They keep their light tucked under the bushel, but they've got it. They just don't share it broadly. So a lot of times solar people with an ascendant sun, and they go, oh, I'm not like that. Like a lot of Placidus charts will end up making you think you're a 12th house sun, but you're really a first house sun. It means you keep your light tightly held, like close to the vest. You don't share it broadly. You don't need to be on a stage. You don't need to be seen as leaderful. You don't need to like be guiding people with your light, all of that stuff. Now, one more thing about the sun. No matter which way you go, your sun is your father and father figure. So your solar energy will also be connected to dad. And if it's in the first house, you're a father, and his relationship to you will form a lot of your identity in the simulation character. You have a good father or a bad father, doesn't matter which way. Your character is informed very strongly by the relationship to the father. So I want you to think about that for you sun first house people and ask yourself about that possibility. Now, a little bit more complicated for the advanced students here or whatever learners. Alrighty, thanks for listening to that. What about the second house? If you are born with your sun in your whole sign second house, you're going to often take on a money story that's connected to your father or your patrilineal lineage, your father's side of the family. And quite often you will want to get involved in your father's livelihood in some way. For example, my sister, my dad was a pharmacist, has her son in her second house. She actually wanted to become a pharmacist, but instead she became a nurse. Doesn't matter. It's a medical industry. You're going to notice that there's a natural inclination to take on a path connected to the father or his lineage when it comes to career. That's because the second house is the money you make in the world. And because you need to do a career to make money, that's why you end up doing something just like the dad's line or just like the father. Sun will focus a lot of your attention as a soul in terms of the purpose for being here. It's around your money, it's around your earnings, and it's around your resources. It's also around your face. So you'll focus a lot of energy around the light, bright shining on your face. So you could be very compelled around your facial appearance and what you look like and how you look facially. It's what you eat and put in your nose or mouth through the face. Therefore, a lot of people who end up with the sun in the second house become very dietarily acute and conscious about what they eat. They want foods that vitalize and revitalize them. Your soul comes in going, we're not eating stuff that doesn't vitalize us. And if you get off track and you eat devitalizing food styles, then you'll be course corrected in this lifetime. Often when the sun is here, there is a premium on eating foods that create greater rejuvenation and vitality in your life. And if you have the sun there and you're not doing that, you'll find that you will be having at one point in your life to address that. Spotlight on dietary habits and styles will be essential. The second house can bring the spotlight as well on anything to do with a life that's purposed towards career, money, and material wellness. And so that soul wants to experience maybe wealth or lack of wealth, or career success or lack of career success, or job or no job. These themes will continually repeat. And in your life, your health is connected to your food style. So if you're eating or drinking things that aren't good for you, you're going to find a way most times to turn it around. If you have a very bad relationship with your father, and it's complicated. You're possibly going to have a hard time turning around the problems with the food you eat. You have to address the healing of the father relationship to reestablish your wealth, your money, and your health. And if you find wealth, career, money, and health are problematic, then you are very likely missing the boat on healing your father relationship. You need pets. You're trinal to the house of pets. Pets are so important to your vitality and your sense of self-worth and self-esteem. If you are a soul born with a second house sun, get yourself a pet. I don't even care if it's a goldfish. Just feel the connection and you will feel much better about life. If you have your sun in the third house is your siblings, and you'll have a very karmic and soul related reason to be incarnated in connection to the siblings that you are with. If you're a solo child, of course, disregard what I said. For solo children born without siblings, you're likely very focused on your childhood friendships. Those are going to be people you met in kindergarten, elementary, and high school. Those people for you are going to have lifelong importance, and they're going to all be very important, like soul pod traveling together. This is third house, a sibling one younger in particular. You're going to notice that maybe the sibling one younger than you, should you have it, one younger in birth order, right? Like, that's all I mean by one younger. People ask me that all the time. I don't get the question. One older than me, two older than me, one younger than me. Okay, one younger than you in birth order will be extremely important to your life. It has a very strong sense of karmic connection or reason to be in this life with that sibling. This third house can bring your solar light into media, social media, writing, teaching, a thirst for learning and knowledge. And you'll really want those things in this lifetime. Now, we can always translate that, like, say, to your Leo house and your Aries house, where you'll cross that light over to those houses that the sun rules. That's true for all of it. But let's just keep it simple. That one simple lesson, that one simple delineation is: do you want to learn? Do you want to teach? Do you want to write? Are you wanting to be in the media world, a journalist, for example? I have my son in the third house. Guys, I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, I'm a teacher. But those are third house activities. And it's skills-based teaching and skills-based learning. I'm going to teach you how to be an astrologer, right? Or how to time your best life. So you'll have a fixation there as a soul. This is your calling. The third house, in Demetra George's estimation, she's the grand dame of Hellenistic astrology type stuff, is the house of the diviners, the scryers, the crystal ball gazers, the entrail readers, and the tea leaves. Okay. This is where you have your local oracles that are helping you out. You could be somebody who, as a soul level, must consult the oracle or become the oracle for others. That will be a part of something that you will feel intently about, one way or the other. If your sun is shining there and you have a good father relationship, because don't forget, son is dad or the dad's lineage, well, you're going to be so copacetic with the oracles. And I want to teach, oracleship. I want to be an oracle. I love to consult the oracle. So, I have my normal tarot reader, my psychic. I've always seen psychics and readers all of my life with my son in my third house, but I did have a relatively good relationship with my dad. When you don't want to see those people or even entertain the possibility, or you know you should write something and can't write it, or you want to learn or teach and you're like stuck, repair the father story. This is true for everyone all the way through. The father in your childhood, the stepfather, the father figures, heal that narrative to heal the success of your third house. What if you have your sun in the fourth house of the home? Well, the sun is a bit of a problem here because it's in the midnight hour. Your fourth house is like, I'm in bed, tucked in the covers, the lights are out, and all of a sudden someone turns on the light switch. The sun is here. This means that growing up, you might also, as a soul, have had difficulty sleeping. You might also had difficulties with solar figures in the home. Maybe dad was down and out and didn't have a job and near to well, and he was always lounging on the sofa, and you have this negative impression of the solar archetype of dad or Grandpa John or Uncle Joe, negative impressions of fathers in the home when you were growing up. It doesn't always have to work that way. The good father could have been staying home or spent a lot of time in the home when you were young. And your childhood, the fourth house is your childhood, your home base, the nest at which you were sprouting and growing. And that could just mean you want to honor the father for the light he shines in your life. But if you have the father here, it's often difficult for most people. The sun shining in the fourth house can be like drawing from the well of the ancestors. So I want you to think about this is where the plumb line goes under the earth, and underneath that is the ancestral line. But you're drawing from the well of the patrilineal line in order to affect a purpose and career in this life. It doesn't have to be dad. Maybe great grandfather, Bob was a writer, and that's what you want to do. So you're calling something from the ancestors into being in order to actualize your purpose. Of course, you're going to look to the Leo and the Aries part of the chart where the sun rules that sign and is exalted, respectively. And you might translate some of the solar light to activity in those houses in this life, but it is sourced from the fourth house. Fourth house energy is also practically land, property, and real estate, and sun can represent purpose and career. And sometimes people with this placement will go into professions involving land and real estate. They may be a developer of land. They may be a big land holder, or maybe a leaser of property and land. They could be an agent of that, real estate agent, or those kinds of professions. If it involves properties and domiciles and homes and land, then that could bring your attention there for a career path. All right, so consider that as an option as well. Finally, if your sun is not besieged by malefics or in difficult circumstances, and I'm not going to go into that here. If your sun is simple, pure, and true, let's say it's a Leo sun or Aries sun in the fourth house. Let's say that there's nothing like a square to Mars or Pluto or Saturn, and it's kind of a happy sun. You're going to live a long time with great vitality. This is a house of how you seem to be when you're ready to die. So the sun here could keep you quite lit up, right? And quite active, and quite vital, and quite focused on purpose, even as you are becoming quite elderly. So that's the upside of the sun in the fourth house. What about if your sun is in the fifth house? The fifth house is your creativity. It's your muse. It's your artistic and inspired energy. And it also connects you to your entrepreneurial juice, but it's also the gifts that you were born to express. So a lot of times when the sun innately is in the whole sign fifth house, one of the focuses of your soul is to express the talents and gifts you were born with. If you were born and you could sing as a 4-year-old, dance, or maybe you had a science genius mind, those natural gifts and talents want in this life to be expressed. And the fifth house is the house of joy and inspiration and filled with spirit and enthusiasm, right? To be inspired, inspirited from within. If you're not in that mode, the sun is going to give you a hard time. There's a lot of light that wants to shine here. This is like where you're also in touch with the divine spark, the reason to get out of bed in the morning. There's a lot of manifestation power often in the fifth house as well, especially if the ruler of the fifth is in the first. That's a whole other story. But you are literally wanting to light up the artistic, creative, inspired, joyful side of life. You want to enjoy life, but you don't want just pleasure. That's Venusian. You want like the light of your soul to just have fun. It's playful. It's wondrous. It's filled with awe. It's to be like a child. You will focus on wanting children, having children, or taking care of somebody's child. The sun puts a spotlight on children. And so there's probably a life, if you don't have your own, you're going to want to be participating with children in some way. You could be an educator of children, teacher of children. You could be involved with other people's children, but you'll be involved with children for sure. It's a great spot for luck. This is a house of good fortune, and so likely you'll have more than one opportunity for good fortune. But look to your Aries and Leo whole sign houses where the sun has rulership and exaltation, because that may be where the luck will show up for you in this lifetime, right? And finally, about the fifth house, it's romantic love. And if you are a soul with the sun in the fifth house and you have no romantic life at all ever in your life, that would be a shock. You got a spotlight as a soul to play in the land of falling in love, being in love, dating, having children if you can. It's that romantic, playful, fun, sexual energy that your soul is focused on. Now, you can build a kingdom here, right, with the sun. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you can build a kingdom. But the kind of kingdom you build from the fifth is dharmic. You are activating the houses of purpose. And there's no way that any of you sun in the fifth house people, just like sun in the first house people, aren't aiming for an expression of this life that feels dharmic, meaningful, and purposeful. So that's another undergirding of how it feels to be born with your sun in the whole sign, fifth house. Look at the tutorial down below. All right. If you're born with the sun in your sixth house. The sun in your sixth house is an incredibly interesting placement because it means the spotlight is on health and work and debt and pets and sometimes rental property. Your energy is connected to karma stories. This is many different lives. This is karmatic debt axis of the sky. Your best path to remove karmic debt is to put a spotlight on service, to be of service, whether that's your job, maybe it's seva, maybe it's charitable service. You want to be giving in this life. To be of service is not to be a servant, it's to be serving the greater good and removing the karmic traps that you've put yourself in from other lifetimes. There are pets here. This is pets. Sun in the sixth house asks you to consider as a soul the importance of domestic animals in your life and how they can be very important to your well-being. Your physical health belongs to the sixth house of sickness. And this is an important story for you. Pets can be really remedial for your health challenges. The love of an animal can be very soothing to you. You might also want to focus on health matters as a profession. You might think, oh my God, I want to make the world a better place on health matters. And so in some way, fields of health and revitalizing health and vitality are important. Of course, you have a sign here, right? Like, so we're not covering like, oh, it's cancer. I focus on digestive health. We're just talking about the vibration of sun energy here. Where you can find ways to be more healthy is to look to your whole sign Leo and whole sign Aries sky, where the sun has rulership, and ask yourself, and exaltation power, and ask yourself, oh, that's kind of trap doors to health or back alleyways or hacks to health. Look at those houses, what they mean, what their fundamental meaning is. Finally, I wonder if you have your sun in the sixth house, you've noticed that you could shine in the workspace. Like people like you and you are easily promoted to more positions of authority than most people are. You get your first 3 weeks in and the boss says, oh my God, we got to move you up a level. That's natural for people with the sun in the sixth house. It doesn't come as easy to others as it might to you if you're in the right place at the right time. You might be very property oriented if it's about rentals. You could be someone who has an Airbnb business, or you may rent properties yourself lifelong and find great enjoyment in not being a property owner as another option. And when you work, like say you have a home office or you work in an office building, the sun is light and you need a light space. You need to be by a window. You need to have bright light around you. You don't want to be in a place that's dimly lit or dark. It's literally like you want the lights on in where you work. So you could just use that as a hack. Like oh, I'm going to work in the basement because it's convenient away from the kids, but it's dark and dreary down there. Sunlight in particular, not just light like turning on the light switch, but getting some light in the windows of your office can be extremely important to your physical, emotional, mental well-being in a workplace. If they stick you in a cubby hole in the back dark room of some office building, it's probably not going to work. You let me know in the comments. Has that been true for you? I'd love to hear. Last but not least, this is going to activate your Artha houses. It's going to activate house 2, 6, and 10, and major very much purpose as a soul to job, money, earnings, and career matters. But the sun is the father. The success in your health, the success in your work, pets and rentals depends on your dad relationship, granddad, other father, and patrilineal figures up the father line. If you have complications there, you'll have complications in work and health. Heal the father figure stories, heal your health. Now, the thing about that is, you might take on a profession connected to dad, right? You might, or dad's line, right? Dad's fathers and father figures and grandparents and uncles on the father's side. So you may want to align naturally and easily with your father's lineage and your father's life and the professional choices that you make. Lastly, debts are here, like your credit card debt, your bank loans and mortgages. Sun here puts a spotlight as a soul on paying off debts. That can be karmic debts with others. You'll encounter people in this lifetime that you're continually wondering, why did I get in that relationship? Why am I with that person? Or what's this friendship for? And they're all karmic debt repayment plans, trust me. But also the idea of it is debts for real, credit cards and other things. This is a life to learn to work with debt, learn to work with responsible indebtedness, both on financial and spiritual levels. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Okay. What if your sun is in the seventh house? That's very challenging for some people because the sun is across from your ascendant. And so the whole sign seventh house has a big spotlight on it. Now, I mean, Freud had that. What it meant is he put a spotlight of attention on other people. And after seeing thousands and thousands of clients, he came up with his theory of the id. What do you say about Freud, like him or not? I think also Phil McGraw has his sun in the seventh as well with Saturn. You're going to get people's in your life that take up a lot of your attention. It's like, can you imagine that there's always a bright light shining directly across from you? Well, you're either going to try to ignore it and close your eyes, or you're going to have to pay attention. Therefore, your life gets purpose towards what other people are doing. If you think about this as the marriage house, absolutely, your marriage partner will draw a lot of your attention in this lifetime. It's not as simple as that always, but it's more difficult if you're a Leo rising with the sun in the seventh, because the ruler of your own character identity is pushed into the life of the spouse. So this is where you get codependency. In the meantime, the sun is a bright light in the house of the other person directly across the way, unless you're going to put up a block or a partition or blinds or shades. They're always shining brightly right in your eyeballs, right, of your character. It just means a life that you're compelled to pay attention to the needs and the priorities of other people, and you may feel like you're orbiting their need structure. So be careful with that, because you can turn it around and bring like something new to the world. You've seen like thousands of clients and you have new expert abilities. Perhaps a positive element of the sun here. Well, bad element is you're married to your dad, right? So your dad is such an important character in your life that you feel like you're beholden to him like a spouse, and there may have been competition with your mother over the attention of the father. Your father and your mother are married, but you all of a sudden have dad in the marriage house, and now you and your mom are competing for dad's attention. That could have happened. Let me know in the comments. Sun in the seventh house, though, such a bright light over there. You can use your attention to others to benefit the world. And you could bring a big spotlight into the life of your audience, your marketplace, your clients. Like, you are going to shine a light into their world, which can be very positive, right? It's less positive for Leo risings, but other signs are good. Look to your Aries and your Leo sky, your whole sign houses. Those are the exaltation and domicile placements for the sun. And you'll see a translation of the light in the seventh to those two other houses as well. Okay. The sun is the setting place, right? It's where the sun goes down. It's a twilight hour. If the sun is below the descendant, it's in the nighttime hour. You are born with the sun below the ascendant. So ascendant, descendant, and the sun is under the descendant, going towards, like, down towards the fourth house, then this is a dark sun. It's in the midnight hour. It's a little bit difficult then too, because it's not the sun above the horizon. It's the sun in the darkness, where the sun belongs to the top half, the daylight hours. That could indicate some real challenges with your father in this life that you'll have to overcome in order for you to succeed in marriage and business partners, and to even to succeed in your Leo whole sign in Aries house. The sun above the horizon, you may have things about dad you've never known or understood or seen properly, because it's in the lunar sphere of the chart. So consider that there's mysteries about your dad that you may not know about, and to uncover them would be useful for you. Sun also above the horizon of the ascendant line in the daylight. So on the top half of the seventh house is much better in terms of the father stuff, but also much better in terms of your ability to shine a bright light into the world of the marketplace, the audience, the clients, and the customers. If I remember correctly, that's Phil Graw. 90% sure his sun is there, but you're going to see people who have an impact on the greater fans or public in some way when their sun is usually on the top half of the descendant. Between the descendant and up we go to the eighth house. Those people can have a lot of impact in or influence over a large audience or following or fans. And finally, father figures and male figures are going to be always in your face, one way or the other. They're going to show up as adversaries and open enemies, or as partners in business. Okay? Because that's the sun in the seventh energy, lifelong. It's a little like having your spiritual energy estranged from the simulation avatar body. There's the character acting this way, and the sun is always busy with other people. So it's a real soul work energy for you to come to terms with that in this lifetime, and see if you can integrate, like, who am I really? Look at how other people around you act. If you attract narcissists and controllers, where have you not dealt with your own inner controller? The sun will act like a kind of spotlight on your shadow work. Sun in the eighth house of chunky money, secrets, and the hidden realms. Okay. You could be an occultist off the bat. Your soul comes in and it was like, I talk to dead people. I'm a magician. I do spells, and I'm an occultist. I'm a holder of the mysteries. And when the sun is in the eighth house at birth, yeah, you might be a spiritual identity, a sun that wants to play in the land of the paranormal, supernatural, and the occult. Just naturally will feel easy for you. But that's your dad or a father figure growing up or in your life, and that's the eighth house. That dad is hard to connect to. You probably, as a soul, realize you just chose a life which dad was a big mystery to you. Maybe absent, maybe died when you were young, maybe didn't really connect with you, two ships in the night. That's anyone, guys, your granddad, your dad, or great uncle, anyone you were intimate with that influenced you as a child. The sun in the eighth house could be good for you taking on as a soul a desire to spiritually liberate, to find who you are beneath the simulation avatar identity, to wake up beyond the egoic structure into the true you. A lot of solar people in the eighth house end up becoming psychologists. Psyche means soul. They want to investigate the nature of human consciousness, often for themselves, but they end up helping people as well. Sun here can make you very oriented towards finance. You might become a banker, an accountant, stockbroker. Things to do with money and other people's money are absolutely compelling. Your spiritual essence is very curious about that whole money playground, especially other people's money. The sun here is also very capable of helping you dispel, or shine a bright light on your own dark spots. Any place in your life where you have to deal with your own shadow and soul work, so to speak, will be illuminated. It's activating all of your moksha houses. Spiritual liberation for 8 and 12 are important, but often we can't spiritually awaken without having to still deal with these spots on our soul, the shadow work that's there, the karmic knots that need to be unwound in this lifetime will preoccupy your spiritual essence, your true self. The true self in the eighth house, just like the sixth house, by the way, is an aversion to the ascendant. So the sixth house, eighth house people, solar, they have a really hard time sometimes integrating their true spiritual light with the character they're here to play. You could, for instance, be like, I don't know, a policeman in the character simulation, but you're a secret pastor and you want to have a flock in a church, right? I'm saying that people born with the sun in the sixth or the eighth often have a hard time fusing your soul light with the character in the simulation, the ascendant you're here to play. So it's good to do soul work initiatives. Go see a guru, meditate, look inward, apply the depths of your psyche to find who you really are beneath the character you're here to play. So that's one of the things that I see a lot. All right. And sun in the eighth house, of course, if you have to look at your Leo whole sign house and your Aries, you'll find that's where you could also receive chunky money, where deep spiritual awakening might also pop up, where you might find connections to things to do with finances, again, other people's money, royalty income, shared resources, inheritances. Sun in the eighth means you probably, if dad didn't disappear when you were young, you could receive money through inheritance through the patrilineal line. And also, again, every time we do this, I'm always encouraging you to look to what the sun is the ruler of, the Leo whole sign house, and the exaltation lord, your Aries sky. Because you'll see where the solar eighth house energy also dapples out through the chart. All right, what about if the sun is in your, drum roll please, ninth house of Dharma? This is a very powerful house, the ninth house. It's where we meet God in a way. It's heaven. It's like die in the seventh, go to the underworld in the eighth, and he rise again in the ninth, right? Jesus rose again. And we have pastors and preachers and rabbis and spiritual ideology and religion. The sun is in his joy here in Hellenistic astrology. He's powerfully placed. This is the ancient place of his highest power. And therefore, sun in the ninth house will compel you to seek the truth, the wisdom, and the knowledge that a spiritual path or religious ideology can bring you. It does not have to be conventional, that by no means. It could be any kind of religious ideology or spiritual ideology. It could be meditation. It could be mystical traditions, but you're going to want to go there in this life. And if you don't go there, your soul will feel like it missed the mark. You're here to discover gnosis, knowing, spiritual wisdom, and truth. And if you don't, you're going to feel a little bit unhappy. You'll also be compelled as a soul to learn. This is academia, ivory tower, colleges, campuses, universities. There's nothing about this life that doesn't get you curious about and desirous of more and more and more learning. That's where your bright light is shining. This is a Dharma house, a purpose house, a meaning of one's life house. And this is going to amplitude up as you get older, after the age of mid-40s, because that's when your soul gets serious about what the hell am I doing? What's my purpose here? But your purpose may be connected to your dad. Your dad is the son or your father figures that influenced you as a child, your grandparents or uncles that you're important and close to you, and your dad's line as well, and how that lineage is letting you Know that your purpose is an extension of the patrilineal line from which you hailed. I don't care if you're giving up an adoption. Some man raised you or some male figure somewhere. Even if it was mostly raised by your mom, there must have been an uncle or like some masculine figure at some point. I would hope. Otherwise, it was a hard life for solar energy, sun in the ninth, which is also a father figure house in Vedic astrology. And you may benefit in life, of course, from having a guide, a teacher, or a mentor who is a masculine presence in your life, right? I'm going to pick a male therapist, a male pastor to confide in, to work with. This is an advisory house, like to be the hand of the king. It's the vice president to the president. It's the second in command. You may find that role as a soul is interesting to you. You don't want to be the president. You want to be a sidekick. You don't want to be the top power dog. The soul is called to advise, assist those in positions of power. You'll find a lot of people who want to learn astrology because it's books, knowledge, and wisdom have a lot of good placements in the ninth house. But the sun up there could compel you to learning about a body of knowledge and wisdom that you can apply to guiding, advising other people. This is courts and justices and legal stuff, and you might be compelled to go into a career or a purpose that involves justice, that involves legal matters like a lawyer or working in the legal system. Ultimately, a life unlived of purpose, a life in which you feel like you missed the calling for which you were born, will be bad for you. You'll feel like you really missed the mark. And the sun is trinal to your identity. And so the sun wants to work in harmony and ease with the character in the simulation. So sun up here is usually quite good. It's like it's shining directly on the character. It says, oh, soul light of mine, I hear you. Like, let's talk. International travel, foreign places and foreign journeys, pilgrimages, and all those things, those are ninth house. Your soul likes to travel. Your soul likes to go to far off places, learn foreign culture stuff. Your soul might be very much also interested in publications. You might want to publish your thesis, of course, at university, but you might want to publish books in this lifetime. You want to contribute to bodies of knowledge and wisdom, not just imbibe the knowledge and wisdom. There's a bit of luck in the ninth house, and it's got a wealth prosperity vibe in Indian astrology, the Lakshmi overlay, and you could find yourself as a soul coming into some lucky times in your life, some success. But the main piece is use your natural talents and gifts to be in alignment with purpose and fuse that with your simulation avatar character. As always, look to your Leo whole sign house and Aries whole sign house. I know you could have the sun in Aries in the ninth house, but not everyone will. So look to those two houses as well, or whatever, to also say, well, this is exaltation for the sun in Aries, and this is home domicile in Leo. And those two houses will partake of the themes of the ninth as I've described them to you. Your father, maybe somebody you esteemed or esteem, right? Because he's trinal to you. You looked up to dad or look up to dad. And he may look fondly upon you as well. My daughter has that placement. And she had a very good relationship with her dad, okay? And so there's a sense of that alignment between your character in the sim and your own father or father figures. You are trying to work together in a harmonious way. Of course, it's not always true. The sun might be conjunct Mars and Saturn and Pluto, and it might be a difficult father relationship. But for the most part, it's an attempt to have a solid connection to the father figures of your life. I think of my daughter, and she was really good connection with her soccer coach, right? Brian, who was a great guy. And then, almost an extended family member I was a soccer mom manager. So there's ways in which the male aspect of leadership can be very useful to you, and you can form very strong bonds with those people. If you're in university, the male professor may be, your favorite, or that male professor's favorite. This happened a lot to my daughter, who is a Taurus sun, but with a sun in the ninth house. Okay, let's move on and talk about what if your sun is, am I talking fast? What if your sun is in the house of career, your 10th house? The sun is at high noon and it's happy up here. Forget about what sign the sun is. It's angular, it's strong, it's got accidental dignity because it's in a powerful house. Powerful houses are 1, 4, 7, and 10. And it's at the top of the sky. Now, your midheaven may not be here in whole sign houses. It could be floating around from houses, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, latitude dependent. But it's still the archetypal high noon of the sky. Midheaven is a true high noon. So the archetype of the 10th house is this is where your sun is in the top of the sky, where the sun belongs. High noon of the OK Corral. The sun is high in the sky, shining brightly. It's a good placement. Yay, you, for the sun up here. You cannot not have a career. Sorry, your soul says, I want to be visible in the world. Practice my visible actions in the world are displayed for the whole world to see, and I'm shining brightly in my career. So you are oriented as a purpose soul energy to be effectively experiencing successful professional accomplishment. But also, this is father figure in your 10th house. And it's possible that you are very in alignment with your dad's career path. Maybe you're going to follow in his footsteps. Maybe his footsteps are the perfect, or grandpa's footsteps, or great Uncle Joe on the dad's side. You want to be aligned in a way with the father's path and his line when it comes to how you express that purpose in the world. If you have a good dad relationship, forget about the planetary placements. Good for you. Then it's going to be easier to do. If you're, dad and you didn't get along, he does square your character in the simulation, right? Your ascendant. It will be such that you will have a hard time finding the perfect career. Heal the dad relationship for all of these 12 placements I'm giving you for the signs, and heal the problem of that house. Now, the 10th house can be very much just social standing, right? And reputation, right? Advancement in the eyes of the world, shining brightly in the eyes of the world. So when we talk social standing, we could be like, you're famous, you're married, you're divorced, you're separated, and you're widowed. Your social standing in the eyes of the world becomes your wedding. God, you do not elope, okay? Sun in the 10th house, you guys are getting married with a big fiesta there, because you want everyone to see what you're doing. So the funeral is extravagant. The wedding is extravagant. The bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, christenings are extravagant. Everything is going to be like very big up there. But you're invested as a soul in that part of the chart where you live your life out loud and live it writ large in the eyes of people. Now, it doesn't mean you're famous, but you could be. It means that, like, if you're in a corporate setting, you want to rise to the top, you want to do well, you want to be acknowledged, right? If you're an entrepreneur, similar, you just want to get that big juicy, I don't know, Rolex watch, right? Because you are striving for bright light in the top of the sky. Your worldly success matters to you. And this is the Artha trine, houses 2, 6, and 10. You want to be acknowledged as prosperous, material, and career success oriented as a soul. Don't forget, the soul's just playing in matter. I know it has deeper agendas, but it's going to do something here. And that's a part of your priority. Okay, that's a part of how you see reality. The 10th house is an interesting place because it's almost like with your sun up there, it's hard for you to do private life. It's hard for you to get under the covers and ignore your story of, look at me and the star. I'm a star of my life. You can all see how good I'm doing, right? I find that people with the 10th house sun can be a little bit over aggressive because they forget about quiet time, private time, home time, alone time in the home, way down the other side, right? Finding the work life and home life balance, finding the public success life and the quiet life in your private, quiet side of your reality will always have to be balanced for you. You'll need to find the balance. You might even be averse to marriage because you're so focused on career as a spiritual identity that you may think marriage is okay. I could do that. You don't mind having kids and you don't mind having romance. You try in the 5th, but getting married may feel like a compromise or a difficult choice. So you could be like, considering that marriage is like the ice, is like the broccoli on the main course of your steak, right? You could take it or leave it, but the soul's more agenda is to be making an influence in the eyes of the world in a meaningful and important way without bypassing service and financial gain at the same time. What about if your sun is in the 11th house of good spirit? Well, this is a place where you can influence large groups of people. And your soul might be having an agenda to be a movement maker or to have a way of having a large group, large scale influence in this incarnation. You also may focus primarily on your reality around your social groups, your networks, and your friendship circles. These will be extremely important to you. You will also have a solar light shining in the house of a sibling, one older than you, the one above you in birth order. And that sibling has a whole big role on you. You may look up to them. They may support you. It should be a good relationship, but unless you have a debilitated sun, you should benefit from a sibling one above you in age. The sun in the 11th house, so is still your dad or father figures that were around when you were growing up that influenced you in childhood or whatever. And so now you have to consider that the solar figure, the father archetype, falls into your 11th house of your dreams, your goals, and your wishes, and the gains directly experienced from your professional success, your career, your 10th house. It's the financial gains, the rewards, and the perks. You're going to strive a lot to excel in your work. You don't just want to do movies as an actor. You want to win an Academy Award. You just don't want to be a corporate VP. You want to become the most well-paid corporate VP in the world, So you're really, as a soul, wanting to go the distance, extra distance to show up in career to get the extraordinary benefits or gains that are possible when you put 100% of your light into your purpose and career energy. With the sun in the 11th house, there's always a possibility that you're going to receive an unexpected windfall from a father figure. Whether it's an inheritance, not unexpected, just a bigger amount of prosperity comes through the masculine authority figures in this lifetime. Not just once, it will be a repeating pattern. Now, we often sit down and try to make a long range plan and goal for our life, right? Like the 5-year plan. And that's often a linear logical process. And that's not what you've got going. You've got the soul, the sunlight, the sparkle of your divine asking you to consider what your deepest fulfilling wishes and desires are. All right. And therefore, it's a little bit tricky because, you might just desire to make a lot of money in your life or, to win the lottery or, whatever. But your soul says, wait a minute. We were looking for the deep desire, the intrinsically joyful, causeless joy that life can give you. When you find a desire worthy of your soul's attention, and a lot of you have strict criteria for that. Sometimes it's debilitating because you have such lofty desires and goals at such a bright highlight of energy that everything else feels unimportant, or you're striving for something, go big or go home, and your professional advancement feels untenable or unreachable. So give yourself a break, okay? And also don't forget your creative and downtime in the 5th house across the way. You need that as well. You need creative time. You may not want children. A lot of solar people, they're opposing the house of children. They're like, I don't have time for kids. I'm working my ass off up here. I'm a superstar of excelling in my career and my purpose. And so watch for that dilemma in this life. If you have a good father figure, though, in your life growing up, anybody who raised you who's male and patrilineal energies align, you can find cosmic and karmic rewards coming to you in this lifetime by the excellence of your perseverance to proceed directly into career light, as if it's like, how can I shine my light over the groups, the masses, and the world at large? Sometimes it means you're going to be very influential in this life. I'm just thinking of anything else. Oh, yes, of course. Look to your Leo whole sign house and your Aries whole sign house. Yes, I know it could also be your 11th house, but the Leo sky and the Aries sky show you also collateral ways that your light will shine really brightly in this lifetime. Okay. So we can't cover that here. That would be a reading. All right. Then we go on to your 12th house. What if the sun is in your 12th house? Well, that's a difficult one, and it's also a positive one. It can be like a stage performer, by the way. You go backstage and then you come on stage. You go backstage and you come on stage. So sometimes those people like, not Miley Cyrus, what's her name? The Australian superstar. A lot of famous pop stars and actors will have a sun in the 12th. Now, the tricky thing is that that's because they turn it on and off, right? It's like the backstage and the onstage, backstage. They have a double life. I shine brightly. I go in and out, on and off. And it's sextiles attempt. So they're okay being seen in the eyes of the world, but they go behind the stage, on the stage. And they're often reluctant in this. They often are like shy, or they're performers who could, they don't need to be always, in the public eye. But deeper than that, the 12th house is your spiritual liberation from the matrix. It's the most powerful of the moksha houses, 4, 8, and 10. 4, define yourself separate from mom, dad, family of origin, culture, and tribe. 8, find who you are beyond your egoic structures and identity. And 12, I'm everybody, unity, consciousness, enlightenment, a drop of water in the ocean of vast consciousness. That's the full Monty. That's a big deal, guys. And if you have your sun there, you're prioritizing that. You want this life to shine a light on your truest self. You would like to wake the hell up. Okay. You might find male gurus, teachers, and ashram holders really good for your soul. You might also be very easily drawn to spiritual traditional religions, but also mystical ones as well. Now, when the sun is here, it's also a house that is your dad in the 12th house. That's the house of hospitals. That's the house of prisons. That's the house of isolation. Maybe you felt disconnected from your dad. You were isolated in your relationship to him as a child, or another father figure like a grandparent that was important to you. But at the same time, the sun here is not necessarily negative, because it's also a deeply karmatic relationship with the father. Sometimes I look at the clients and I go, oh, did you have a problem with your dad relationship? He's in the 12th. They go, no, we were really close. I always wanted people to go deeper, but you can't do therapy on the fly. But it could be that you just have a past life with your dad. Your 12th house is your past lives, dad, grandpa, Joe, whatever. So you have solar figures and ancestral lineage from the dad side of the family that you are soul potting in reincarnation with. And this life, you probably could say to yourself, I probably had a past life with my dad, good or bad. If you want to make borderless income and digital revenue, if you want to make money in a far off land, if you want to move to another country to make money, if you want to do import, export, and barter and trade from distant shores, this is where you're going to be okay. You're going to make money there. It sextiles your 10th house. But it's also like in modern day, we use the 12th house as online digital borderless income and revenue, PayPal, Stripe payment process. We don't have to get in a ship and do the spice trade across the ocean, right? We're going to be able to make money from foreign people, not by export, import necessarily, but exporting our talents globally through the internet. And so this is a sign that you could work in those kinds of industries quite successfully, where you are either living in another country and making money and executing career, you work for a foreign corporate organization or entity, your clients and customers are around the world, and often in a modern day, again, this becomes using the global digital income, borderless revenues, Zoom calls, working at a distance and making money for your career. You should try charity. This would be like where the underprivileged and underserved are in a normal Aries rising. This is your advantage in life, is to find how you can be of service to other people in a charitable manner. And a good hack for that sun in the 12th is to be charitable to others, whether it's charitable with your time, with your money, with your kindness. Find those downtrodden and underserved and underprivileged people that you can be supportive of. Work in a soup kitchen then, do something kind, because that will be the soul's advantage. It will light your sun up even brighter in this lifetime. That's what I've got. That's the 12 whole sign houses where the sun could plop its little bright light into, and that's your sign. Don't forget, if you like this kind of learning content, I'm going to be putting a lot more of these out on my platform. I might call it Teaching Tuesdays. This is the first one, and then will be a playlist of teaching items. If you like this, share this with your friends. Let me know that it's worth continuing to do. You'll learn a lot more depth from me in a class like Sky Reader or Divine Timing Masterclass, which will be called Map Maker next year, or even beyond that, Code Breaker. So make sure you get on my mailing list at Cosmic Moonshine, where I put out weekly or bi-weekly newsletters, and also check out my other platforms like Substack, where I write about world events freely. Also on Patreon, where I teach classes and have a smaller, more intimate community. I'd love to see you there. And also be a member only here on YouTube, where you'll have extra content over the regular content for everybody else. I'll see you guys. If this works for you, I'll know because you hit the like button, you subscribed, or you commented, and then I'll continue to create more teaching videos for you. So let me know. This is my first debut teaching video. So tell me, is it working or is it not? Take care. I'll see you on the other side of video land.
Lunatic astrology.